What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first edition of PSC, known as Philly Sports Experts. I am Max. Here's my co-host, Matt Herman, and we're going to bring you the Philly expert analysis to all of our fans out there. So today, we're really happy to get going here. This is the first edition, so we're really excited to start this journey ahead. So we're going to cover all Philly sports, but I think today we're definitely going to focus on the Eagles with that disgusting loss they had this past Sunday. And then we'll touch on the Sixers and the Sixers season and look at what's going to happen going forward with the team and what do we think is the best strategy for them. So let's jump right into it. Matt, freaking terrible loss Sunday. Awful loss.
I mean, I think I texted you that earlier this week, is that there must have been some sort of like backroom deal between Jeffrey Lurie and the Devil to sell the soul of the Philadelphia Eagles for that Super Bowl. Because it's not just the last few years that they have been – it's not like they're the Browns or you just know they're bad. Yeah. They are the perfect combination of giving you enough hope and enough to be excited about to just, like, rip it out from under you. And just – it's just the most heartbreaking, most pathetic disgrace losses that you could even possibly imagine. And that was the largest lead that the Philadelphia Eagles have ever blown to the Washington Redskins and Doug Peterson's first loss to the Washington Redskins.
You know what's crazy about that game? That if we kind of go back to like the 2017 season when they won the Super Bowl, I just feel like everything went right that year. End of games, fourth quarter drives, they were always successful in third downs, even fourth down conversions. They were always hitting their passes. It's always successful, right? And then big time plays, we get big time stops. Remember the playoff game against the Falcons? Usually that play is usually completed against our team, you know? Even leading up to that year, it was always the same thing with the Eagles. It just nothing ever went our way. And the one season it does, miraculously, we win the Super Bowl. Great success we had with that. But we look back at from that year on, I mean, you hit it right on the nose that it's been like, I swear, Jeffrey Lurie definitely got to sign something because it has just not been good with this team. And you look at the problems they have in the secondary to now the offensive line problems. I mean, what's your review based off of Sunday?
I mean, based on Sunday, I mean, first of all, like I played offensive line for the last, dozen years. And you can see, because obviously, you're down your two all-pro. You're down your all-pro right guard, Brandon Brooks, and your all-pro right tackle in Lane Johnson. And you're out, you roll out Nate Herbig and Jack Driscoll. And
I actually don't think Herbig played that bad.
I would actually say that Driscoll didn't play that bad, and Herbig was the issue. Because
you're the football expert, not me.
I haven't gone back to break down the film or anything, but I mean, you can watch. I mean, there's certain chemistry you need to build up between between them playing with each other, playing with the tight end on that side, setting protections with the running back. And I think if you can remember, there's one play where one of Carson's 8 or 9 sacks that game, where Corey Clement was on Carson's right, and there was the play is supposed to be a slide block where Nate Herbig, the right guard, and Corey Clement are responsible for 2 people, one being the defensive tackle and the other one being the strong side linebacker. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be Corey Clement reads that play and takes the other guy, except Herbig kind of, got caught in the middle. So they both wound up on the down lineman, and the linebacker came right up the middle and just destroyed Carson Wentz.
Yeah, no, I remember that play. And, I feel it's just a reoccurring theme with this team. It's like every week something is wrong. When is the last time this Eagles roster they've been healthy and just they've been or playing well in all cylinders? Even back to the 2017 season, they were just they were hurt all the time. What do you think it is? You think it's the medical staff? You think it's just our luck as Philadelphians and being from Philadelphia, knowing how this team just nothing goes right in Philadelphia with the sports?
Yeah, I think some of it's definitely the medical staff. It's been going on for, dating back before the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl season, the last 2 years. I saw a statistic, right? The Eagles had 7 starters out in their, first week. and they were tied for the most players on the injured reserve.
Yeah.
Except the second most starters missing week 1 was 2. So we were missing 5 more starters than any other team out there. And I do think there's part of it where, I think if this was the Super Bowl, I think, Miles Sanders would have played. I think Hargrave would have played. I think Lane Johnson would have played.
Sure.
But, I mean, at the same time, like, this season especially, like, obviously there's so much more up in the air. You didn't have any preseason games.
I think it's like kind of finding that fine line of like, well, there's no preseason games, or kind of just going to jump right in or rush back. And I think me and everyone being passionate Eagles fans, they want to just jump right in. But I think kind of looking at the long term in the season, I think they kind of have to manage if they're really going to kind of go full throttle right away or kind of build in. And I think you kind of hit it right on the nose that I think those guys definitely could have played. I think if they had to. And we actually came out today. Miles Sanders, I think he's 100% ready to go. But I mean, I think people are going to expect him to jump in Sunday and get 20, 25 carries. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So
he wants it.
Oh, he wants it. And you know what? He is a darn good player. I mean, look at the season he had last year and what he's building for. It could be exciting. Let's turn the page to Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz is, to me, one of the most frustrating athletes I've seen behind Ben Simmons. And that is another topic we will get to. They are the 2 most frustrating athletes that I've seen in my time in Philadelphia.
The persona.
Say it again?
Both of those players are the team and that fan base's frustrations as a person.
Yeah, no, literally. Like, you see
the Eagles. We can play about the Eagles. Inconsistent, hurt all the time. That is Carson.
That is Carson Wentz.
Same thing with Ben Simmons. A lot of talent, can't put it together. No solid leadership. I mean,
that is literally describing the Philadelphia fan bases and our teams. You just watch Wentz and you sit there and sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got to do something. Throw the ball away. And it's so frustrating because you see how much talent this man has. And being 27 years old now, it's his this is 5th year in the league. It's time, Carson. It's time, Carson, for you to take that step and actually carry this team. And it's the same thing over and over. Like we just kind of talked about with the injuries with the team. It's the same thing over and over again with Carson Wentz. You see all the talent, you see everything, and he has more weapons this year. I don't want to hear about the weapons. I understand he's throwing to rookie receivers, but he has more weapons now. He needs to figure it out, and he's proven he can get it done. Why can he not just stay as consistent as possible and actually carry this team to where we need to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just – I honestly, I was, thinking about, why – I mean, obviously the talent is there. We watched him lead the NFC just like – the Eagles to number 1 seed in the NFC, like it was nothing back in 2017. He was front runner for the MVP up until his injury. But I mean, the guy was putting on an absolute laser show. I mean, his QBR was insane. He's making highlight plays left and right. He gets hurt, but he gets paid then. And during the time, I feel like that he's been kind of hurt. Like he's definitely, because you remember in 2017, he was went from second year guy to one of the most talked about players in the league. And, he's kind of lost that as he's been hurt.
You know what? So, I agree with you 100%. But it's kind of crazy. You look at the NFL today, I feel like every quarterback, their best years is their second year in the NFL. Look at Patrick Mahomes, look at Lamar Jackson. Those are 2 guys, for examples. But even Wentz, and then Wentz is another example. It shows you how the jump they make from year 1 to year 2. And I'm actually excited to see how Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson does this year. But Wentz, it's just – that year, he was making throws. I mean, you remember the one play against the Redskins where he ducked under the sack? And it just plays like that. You're just like –
You remember the throw against Seattle to Nelson Aguilar?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. But the problem is now that he's kind of he's lost the limelight to Lamar, Pat Mahomes, and all these young quarterbacks that are making the flashy plays like he used to. And he's coming off a torn ACL. He's older. The offense is different. His line's not as solid as it was. Yeah. And he's chasing that glory. I want to be this guy making these electric plays. We need to realize that's not how this team is built anymore. Every football team, even if it's the same team, your dynamics change every year. We don't need Carson running around in circles, making insane plays because we don't have any receiving threats. Yeah. I mean, I watched the game. Jalen Reagor is insanely fast. Why don't you just roll out?
Did you see the Twitter video of him?
Yeah, just blowing past.
Oh, my – yeah. Talk about speed.
Yeah. Yeah, you just gotta like have Carson like realize it's not all on you. You can be a star, and you don't have to just. I mean, what is with him trying to duck these tackles
Yeah,
all the time?
every sack he
He's gonna
puts
break,
it
he's gonna
down.
break
It's
his
like, what are
neck.
you doing, Carson? What are you throw the ball away? Like I haven't played a down of football my entire life, but if I saw a guy running at me, I'm throwing the goddamn ball away.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I'll give Doug Peterson credit. Like in an interview today, guys were saying like, what are you going to do, with this inexperienced offensive line going up against Aaron Donald, like all these sacks and breakdowns and protection. And Doug Peterson fired back. He said, those sacks weren't all on the offensive line. He said some of those were on Carson, some of those were on the tight ends. And I think that just shows like Carson in his mind might still be thinking like, with this offensive line, because I mean, obviously, like him and Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson got very close, like over the years where they were protecting him. Went to the Super Bowl together, or Carson didn't, but during that amazing run. And now it's like he's like, okay, my guys aren't in there. Like I gotta step up, and he's just putting so much pressure on himself. I mean, you see, he's starting to like collapse and try to make plays. There's no one within a few yards of him. And he winds up like spinning out and throwing a pick because he's like, trying to press too hard. And the one pick he threw, he was trying to throw to John Hightower down the left side. Deshaun Jackson was standing like alone 10 yards down.
And he targets the rookie. Yeah, let's real quick. Let's talk about Hightower. They're raving about him in training camp, and saying how this kid has been looking great. He's fast. He's making great catches. But why is he out there week one? I understand it coming off of no training camp or no preseason, and I understand you got to build guys in, but it is inexcusable for Jackson to only play 56% of the snaps on Sunday.
The fact that he come out and say I'm not hurt on social media after the game is insane. One, that just shows like there must be like some lack of communication between Deshaun and the coaching staff. Like I think that's been a thing with the Eagles too this year is you have players coming out and saying too much, on social media or to the media. We saw it with Zach Ertz openly complaining about his contract, saying he's not sure if the Eagles want him. Like there's got to be something going on, like in the front office or on the coaching staff that, I mean, some of these players are frustrated. Clearly Deshaun is kind of taking a shot at like Doug, like when he's coming out and saying, by the way, I'm not hurt. They don't blame me.
You feel like a lot of guys speak up and talk kind of about the Eagles. I mean, you look at Nigel Bradham said something. Zach Ertz has come out. Deshaun Jackson. 3 guys now. So, like, do you think it's that Doug Peterson is such a player's coach that they just feel comfortable and they realize they're not going to get away with it, a.k.a. that could be a reason why Wentz has not really progressed? Do you think it's because maybe Peterson's too easy on the guy? Because you got to get into his head. I mean, you can't bench a quarterback. He's a franchise guy, but there's going to come a time where you got to grab him by the helmet and say, Wentz, you got to figure this out. You can't be doing stupid things like this you've done for 3 and 4 years now,
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's something I guess we don't see as much. We see like with Brett Brown and Ben Simmons, like their relationship and like how Brett treated him and like how Brett was clearly, not toughing him on him. That was public. Like everyone could see that was the case. Yeah. The Eagles are a little different. I mean, the only time you see him and Carson really interacting together is when he's calling a play on the side of the game. You don't see him like really like, talking to him like one-on-one in timeouts, like talking about like his progression after the game. It's just not, he's not the same way. And I don't know if that's like Doug trusting him or Doug just trying to keep things out of the media. And maybe he calls him in his office and rips him apart. Or maybe he's like, maybe the front office is like, Carson's your quarterback no matter what. And that makes Carson feel entitled. But we just don't know. And I don't think we've seen enough of like their relationship developing to say whether or not it's Carson or like Doug, like who's now, initiative.
Do you think, building off that, do you think the Jalen Hurts pick has played into a factor this? First off, he didn't even dress on Sunday. So didn't even dress. So I understand, like, what's this? What using him as a type of wildcat quarterback? Doug, where's that? I know it's week 1. He's your 2nd round pick, and he is scratched. Not even dressing on your sideline. Now, you think this? I think this could play a role in the why Wentz just sometimes gets frustrated and I think he's just constantly feels, I don't want to say disobeyed by the Eagles, but it's again and again. I feel like they're not just doing everything to support this man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, that's the Hurts pick just goes with like, the Eagles have just for a few years now, they seem to, a second through fourth round pick every year, at least one of them is blown on a like high ceiling developmental backup or some experimental project like Jordan Mailata. Mailata barely dressed for a game in his first 2 years. He was a healthy scratch, and we were just eating roster spots. We've been funneling resources in years.
Damn rugby.
And he gets out there and gets his face blown off by Chase Young. Just because the guy's huge does not mean he knows how to play offensive line.
What a joke. You know what? You almost feel bad for the guy because it's like, haven't played football, haven't played what, in past 3, hasn't played yet, and gets thrown in like that.
Yeah, I mean,
like
defensive line with three first round picks.
Howie, your left tackle goes down towards the beginning of training camp here. You need to make a move to satisfy your line. I understand you're moving Peters back over, but he's a 38-year-old left tackle. You got to get depth on this team to play line. You can't rely on a guy who's a right guard out of college to come in and be a right tackle right away.
Yeah. Or, rely. I mean, Jason Peters, like at left tackle, was horrendous.
That man, how many times have we seen that guy in the middle of a game go down and it's like, well, all right, like it's time to move on from this guy. And I understand this season it would have been good with him at right guard because Brooks went down. I think that would have worked. I genuinely believe that would have worked. But with this team, man, I honestly don't feel comfortable with Peters at left tackle. I really don't. I just don't.
He's just not fast enough. He doesn't have the mobility. He's obviously still big and strong. He's smart enough to do it. But, I mean, especially in this era of, like, defensive ends that, run 4.5 40s, they're flying around the edge and got 345-pound Jason Peters trying to, like, get his kick step backwards. And he's just, like, whiffing as the guy just runs around him.
Yeah, it's, as much as people kind of degrade Wentz and talk about all his flaws, and I really don't think the line has been, like what you just touched on, the line has not been great. They did not protect him well at all on Sunday. But a lot of this, if Wentz needs to figure out ways to kind of get around that. And there are ways he's talented enough to do that.
It doesn't matter how bad the line played. The line, if they played, much better, that could have been a factor in the game. But, I mean, you go back, you watch that game, you can pick out 3 passes that if Carson completed them, which he should have, if he wants to be, the top tier, top 10, top 5 potentially quarterback in the league. If he wants that reputation, you're completing those passes, those 12-yard slants, just to convert the first down. And he just missed. It's horrible.
He misses a lot. He misses a lot of passes, and I don't know if it's fundamentals. I know there's information that came out. He was really working on his mechanics this offseason, and like you said, it's just the same thing. It's like this. We're talking about the same thing with Carson Wentz every week. You listen to 94 WIP, 70 or 97.5 The Fanatic. You listen to all of them. Listen to Gargano, they talk about the same thing with Wentz. So now let's move forward here. Now, last point about the Eagles. Now, what are you looking for this Sunday? Are you predicting a win with this team, with the Rams coming to town? And I personally don't. I mean, you have the best defensive tackle in all football coming in against our disgraceful line.
The best player.
Lunch, and dinner.
The best player.
Yeah, sorry, let me rephrase that. The best player in football.
Yes.
Coming in. So I don't know what the Eagles' strategy is to contain this guy, but they're going to have to do something to, he's going to get his. He's going to get it. But there are ways you're going to have to do to make this offense efficient and effective to be successful on Sunday. They're going to have to figure out a way.
I think you got to roll Carson out, and I think you got to keep it back in protection the whole game. I think Corey's going to get some more snaps because I love Miles Sanders. Corey, if he's a bigger body guy, I think he's better in pass protection than Miles Sanders. Yeah. And I mean, he missed blocks last game. Like, that's a mental error. He knows that he has to be better than that. And I think you got to bring him in because last line of defense, like Jason Kelce is a beast. He's an all-pro. His biggest weakness for his entire life, he's my favorite player, my Jason Kelce jersey. his biggest weakness has always been to the bull rush by a much larger, stronger nose guard.
Which is going to happen on Saturday.
Which is going to happen. And instead of having, Brandon Brooks to lean against, who Brandon Brooks handled Aaron Donald better than almost any other player in the NFL ever has. Because Brandon Brooks has the size, he has the strength to go up against him. And now you got a beach ball, Nate Herbig, playing right guard.
He is a beach ball.
I mean, he's terrible. He's like, I've never seen a more unathletic looking offensive line.
You know what? It's crazy about that game too. The first drive they go down, I was not expecting that at all. They go down and Wentz is moving out of the pocket. They're moving him out, making throws, and it's like, wow, he looks good. The offense looks good, and they just got away from it. They got away from it. You know what? I understand the run game wasn't great, but you have to try to figure out a way to satisfy the run game. And if that's not working, run play action passes or something to get Carson Wentz moving and using his athletic ability and his athletic frame. He's a 6'5" dude. Let him use it. Let him throw the ball deep. Let him get him out of the pocket and use his legs too. So I'm just interested to see. Now, do you think they win Sunday?
I gotta think they win. I can't bear to think they're gonna lose after last week. So it's like the equilibrium. It's like an equilibrium. There has to be some balance of batting. Going off one of the worst losses, I mean, if not the worst loss that I've seen under Doug Peterson as a head coach. The Rams, we've always played scrappy. It's kind of been like, a bit of like a rivalry between us and them because, Goff and Carson, the same class.
Yeah.
And McVay and Doug became, kind of like prominent head coaches around the same time. So it's like, and you remember back in 2017, that was the highly touted game, the shootout, out in LA.
Yeah.
And I feel like, both teams have taken a step back, and I think it's going to be a battle, to see like which of them can kind of, regain footing. LA's coming off the win against Dallas. They might be feeling a little bit better at themselves, not quite as hungry as we are.
Yeah, too. Great win by them.
Oh, yeah.
Dallas out.
That was not terrible, but I mean, as an aside, as a referee, I would not make that call to have it decide the game.
Yeah,
like it's by the book
against Dallas, but man, that is a tough call. That is a tough call to make. In that situation,
if that happened against the Eagles, I would have thrown something through my TV.
This titty would have went nuts. It would have been everything would have broken loose.
We got Moniak.
Kind of last point about the Eagles is on 97.5 or listen to oh my God, it's Bob. You know what I'm talking about? On 97.5, Bob Cooney. They were doing the projections, and Bob Cooney projected that it was going to be. He's like, "Do you remember the Eagles game in 2017 against the Giants when Jake Elliott hit that 61-yarder to win?" He's like, "Well, I think it's going to happen against the Eagles this weekend. It's going to be a field goal to win the game for the Rams." And it was just like, "No, Bob, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, Bob? You can't go against our birds here." But you know what? I think it's going to be a tough game, and
yeah,
I don't know how I feel. I can't make a prediction. But it's going to be a good battle for both these teams.
I mean, I think, all of what we talked about on the offensive side, I think our defense showed a lot of promise this week. I mean, they gave up the points, right? They blew a 17-point lead. But, I mean, only one of the scoring drives was from outside of 40 yards.
Yeah, no, I think their defense did play well.
Leading the league in yards per play. We're only allowing 3.4 yards per play through week one. So I mean, we're gonna lean on that. We got Javon Hargrave,
back, which is a huge bonus.
Yep.
Huge bonus him in the middle.
Like Burnett might be coming back too.
Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully, that secondary. We got a lot of new guys added in there. Darius Slay, Roby Coleman. We got Mills.
Looked really good on Sunday.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, I know it's a schematic thing. It does work out a little bit because we haven't had a great linebacker, in this coaching regime, other than Bradham's been the best linebacker they've had since Doug's been here. But I do look at our defense, and I worry about our second line defense and the linebackers because we're in a division. You got Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley as running backs. What happened? The defensive backs don't like to tackle those guys. So I think it'll be interesting to see the development of like these younger linebackers.
Yeah, Davion Taylor, Ethan Gary.
Because they're smaller too. That's
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I'm interested to see how it goes. All right, so it's great Eagles talk here. Let's transition over to the Sixers. Now, let's talk about this mess, this utter disgraceful mess that this season was. I think
dead.
The process, you know what, is dead. It is dead, and I understand that Joel Embiid is the process, but since Elton Brand stepped into office, and I'm not blaming all this on Elton Brand, this team had the opportunity, or they came into the season with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Markelle Fultz, two big signing slots to sign guys, Robert Covington, Dario Saric, and we just had cap space, and you just drafted the first overall pick. It has been an utter disaster for this team. Markelle Fultz I don't know how you forget to shoot. That's like forgetting how to throw a strike, which I know it's a very normal thing. People have the yips, but it's not common. Markelle Fultz forgets how to shoot. We trade for Jimmy Butler, trade for Tobias Harris. We let J.J. Redick and Jimmy Butler walk. J.J. Redick goes to the Pelicans because we didn't want to pay him extra money going to the luxury tax, which at the time I understood. You wanted to build a team with defense and get more length of the two guard. But that was a horrible move because the one thing this team could not do is shoot the damn basketball. And then you lose Jimmy Butler, who is now going to go to the finals. I'm saying now they are going to win that series and go to the finals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you look at the Heat Celtics right now. You got Jimmy Butler, an absolute bulldog on one side, basically has the win at all cost mentality. I'm going to destroy anyone who gets in my way physically, emotionally. It doesn't matter. And you got the Celtics imploding. I mean, I think there's Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown got in like an argument in the locker room. And like you got. I mean, his will to win is unstoppable. Which is, I think that the fact that you let that walk out of the door for Brett Brown potentially,
unbelievable,
horrendous. I'm not.
He signed Al freaking Horford. Al Horford, because we thought analytically it would be a better fit for the Sixers. I understand they offered Jimmy Butler. I understand, but they did not push hard enough for him to stay. They did not push hard enough.
They should have done anything. They should have said you can choose 3 free agents that you want us to target. They should have done anything. The fact that like, and you look at what you gave up, like it's
a joke.
It's nothing. That would be like if the Phillies let Real Muto walk. You give up good young players that in hindsight would
absolute stud.
Currently benefit your team quite a bit, and then you just say, oh, I guess this didn't work out. We're going to go our separate ways. Every fan thought it worked out. I mean, you were a bounce away, from like going in, to the conference finals.
And look this year. They were in a bubble. It's not a traditional playoffs where the 1 and 2 seeds are winning in the East. The East is all for grabs. That team, I am convinced, would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals right now if they were together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you look at it's just like will to win. Like you look at the Clippers. I thought the Clippers were like in terms of like, they got the right roster construction, the right players that complement each other. I thought they were going to, at least make it to the conference finals in the West, like play against like the Lakers. But I mean, they just got, beat by the Nuggets. And I think you're seeing a lot more in like this shortened season, these odd scenarios. You see players with strong wills. Like the leader come out. You got Jimmy Butler, absolutely going off. I mean, that guy wants to win more than anyone else. And I hate to say it, Jason Tatum has more of a will to win than anybody that I see out there on the floor for the Sixers. Embiid sometimes has that in him. Simmons wants to have that in him. You got LeBron, who's angry, like Jokic. There are all these.
When you see he did not even win the MVP this year, which I think he absolutely should have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like a pity give, to be honest. That was a joke.
Yeah. Then let's talk about the season here. The Sixers go into the season thinking, okay, let's play bully ball. Let's get Al Horford and let's bring in Josh Richardson, keep Tobias Harris, and have a 6'10" point guard, a 6'5", 6'6" shooting guard, a 6'9" small forward in Tobias, who's naturally, I think, a better at 4. And then Al Horford, who's 6'10", who's not really a 4. I mean, I understand they want to try him to stretch 4 and then Embiid. You look at the teams that are in the finals right now outside LeBron, okay? LeBron is just the best player in the league and dominant, and you have AD. The teams that win in this league are ball-handling guards that can shoot and create their shots. Look at the Celtics 4. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kemba Walker against Jimmy Butler and sharpshooters. And you have an athletic freaking Adebayo. Where do the Sixers think that playing bully ball is going to be effective? First off, they didn't
in the 1990s.
Yeah, didn't even play bully ball this year because Brett Brown was so focused on spacing the floor. So it's sort of spacing. And our first man off the bench is Furkan Korkmaz. Now let's say that again. Our first man off the bench was Furkan Korkmaz. Furkan Korkmaz would not play a minute in the Celtics Heat in their series. Would not see the floor. Now, what does that show you about the roster construction and what they wanted to do? It shows you how it was just completely misguided and horribly put together from the start.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. Like, I took the cheese at the beginning of the season I was like, you know what? Like, because, I mean, we'd seen Horford absolutely clamp down on Joel Embiid in the playoffs, shut him down. Like, all right, that's all right. And he made shots against us. I mean, I didn't watch Celtics games outside of the Sixers Celtics. I assume he was a pretty solid offensive player because he was against us. And, you know, I bought into the big player. You know, I thought that Tobias, you know, had just a down year the year we traded for him. I thought, you know, he was going to bounce back strong. And we saw flashes of that this year where he would come out and, you know, he had like the most 30-point games other than Embiid on the Sixers. Like, he saw flashes of that, but he's so inconsistent. He'll score 32 points one game and then come out with 8 points and be incredibly inefficient. He's been much more inconsistent from 3-point range. I thought Richardson, when we traded for him, was a near 40% shooter range. He's absolutely laid down and died since we traded him.
You know, I do not like Josh Richardson. I understand he's a scrappy player, but on this team, I don't like him for this team. I don't at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, we were sold on him being like, you know, like a good perimeter defender or whatever. But I mean, the fact is, like, the way this team plays defense, you have so many big guys running around out there. They'll just like they're slow. They can just even if he's on it, someone, you know, like if he's doing a good job defending him, they'll just pass to someone real fast and they'll loop around like the big guy and they'll just get a shot off.
Yeah, it just. And I don't want to put Brett Brown seems like such a great guy, and he's really given everything to this franchise. He really has. I mean, look for what he started with to what he is now. So. But in his credit, like this year, it was definitely tough to watch that team play. Just so stagnant on offense, so much potential, and so much talent that it just couldn't be put together. But in Brett Brown's defense, I do want to kind of side with him here. Is that team is so damn tough to coach. When you literally have your best player on the team, in my opinion, is Ben Simmons. I think this team goes as Ben Simmons goes. And I think his lack I think people get confused. He can shoot the ball. He chooses not to shoot the ball and is afraid to shoot it. If he was a willing shooter, I think this all works out way better. I don't think it still is not a great fit, but until he is willing to shoot, this team isn't going anywhere. It is not going anywhere, and I think Brett Brown was put in a tough situation where he had to find ways. He didn't have another backcourt guy to really create and run pick and rolls with Embiid, and because they didn't have enough shooting. So I think it was very hard for him, and it was challenging, and I don't think everything is going to change in this town until Ben Simmons gets it through his head that he needs to shoot the damn basketball for us to be successful. That is the only way this team is going to go to where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I still have some faith in Ben Simmons that he will. And I think that's part of what the new coach is like. You know, Brett Brown, it's tough. I'm sure Ben, you know, is a tough personality to work with, and he's obviously, you know, one of the most talented, like, biggest contract young guys in the league. It's hard to tell them what to do, which I think, you know, you bring in like one of these coaches like D'Antoni or Ty Lue, like these guys that have experience, regardless of the X's and O's and how they draw up plays, they can manage big personalities. They know how to do that. That's something Brett Brown didn't have to do. I mean, the guy came from friggin' Australia. Like, obviously he wasn't dealing with the kind of egos and personal lives and social lives that these players have.
Well, I think he got a little bit of experience being in San Antonio as an assistant. But That's
He's
different.
not the one answering questions.
Yeah, exactly. So now kind of the last point I want to tie in for the show today was, so there's recent reports coming out the Sixers are leaning towards, or he's heavy favorites for Mike D'Antoni. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of mixed feelings. You just mentioned Mike D'Antoni. There's a lot of mixed reviews about Mike D'Antoni. I personally, my fors and against Mike D'Antoni are, I think he would be good in terms of he has worked with James Harden. He has worked with Russell Westbrook. He has coached the Lakers. He has coached the Nuggets. He's been around established guys in this league. So I think guys, especially Simmons and Embiid, will respect him. I'm more focused on Simmons respecting him, because Simmons respects him and is going to hold him accountable. That's what we need. Ty Lue, for example, I don't know if I was for Ty Lue because he won the finals with LeBron, but the more reports that come out are talking about how players have loved him. Kevin Love came out and said he really likes Ty Lue. He's great, knows basketball, knows X's and O's. So I would say I think I'd be okay with Ty Lue. But my biggest thing is I just want someone who's going to hold Simmons accountable and get the most out of Simmons, because I feel like if whoever gets the most out of Simmons, and if Simmons progresses, this team goes. It doesn't matter to me about other guys. It's Simmons. You have to get the most out of Ben Simmons, because if he does that, then the team will take the jump. That is how I think they should approach it.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think the Sixers, they're a player-oriented team. Like, they win and lose by their players, not by their X's and O's, not by their schemes. That's been the way it's been, especially, you had like the big four or whatever, like the big two, and, Ben and Joel. And, like, it's not like, like Brett Brown drew up a good game. It's when they decide, I'm one of the best in the world, give me the ball, I'm going to take over. I don't know much about the X's and O's of basketball, but you can read when a player, has that look in his eye and he wants to go out there and he's going to ball out. Like, that is what we need to have more of from them. And I think that's what, like, whatever coach can convince Ben Simmons that if you want to be this elite, Ben Simmons has said it, like LeBron called him like the prince or whatever. Yeah. Like, saying, like, he's next in line. If you want to follow up LeBron James, you got to shoot the damn basketball. That's the bottom line. And I think –
sorry,
and I think just – I think Ben Simmons is so good, and it would be so hard to ever move on from him, just because, the potential you are giving up is insane. I think get a new coach who, like, you ask in the interview, like, how hard are you going to push this guy? Like, we need you to get the most out of him, and tell me how you're going to do it. And if we give it a great run with, like, that as our focus for the next few years, like, try to, tweak the roster a little bit.
For him, I'm building around him. I understand Embiid, but you win with Simmons. You win with Simmons, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the point guard, just, they're more important. Like, that, especially in today's NBA. And I think if that doesn't work after this year or 2 years from now, I think you have to at least consider, like, if we go 1 or 2 more seasons and he still wants to shoot with a new coach, and we're losing these similar, frustrating fashions. Like, pipe dream. I said, you tell Simmons, like, this year, like, this is it. And
how many times have we talked about Simmons and the game? You're like, shoot the ball, Ben. And it's like, you just wait. All you want him to do is shoot it. Ben, I don't care if we lose. Honestly, I would be okay with they say, Ben, I don't care. You were taking the last shot, and you were taking a freaking jump shot, and if you don't shoot it, we're going to have problems. You lose, I don't care, because you need to progress this guy.
He doesn't want to leave his comfort zone. He knows he can dunk. He knows he's got great handles. He knows that he can blow past anybody and hit a layup. He knows he can do that. And that's why he's known, around the NBA, like, he's so talented. And he cares so much about his ego and perception about the league. And you see it on, like, Sixers fans don't help it when he hits, when he takes a three and social media goes absolutely insane. Like, that's just, like, that can't make him feel good. Yeah, and especially, like, when he bricks one, every NBA meme page is, like, showing pictures of him, like, throwing a brick up in the air. Yeah. Sure, he follows him. He's barely older than we are. Like,
he's
actually
older.
Younger.
He's 24.
He's 24. Jeez.
24. All right, well, that was a great first episode here we had. We are definitely going to continue doing this, and I hope all the fans out there really enjoy this. For Philly Sports Experts, thank you, and we'll be back again.